Hey, welcome back. Lesson 39. We're going to multiply some decimal numbers. I've got a trick for you that'll save you a lot of heartache. When I was your age, back when the wheel was invented, this is a big pain in the rear, but I've got a quick way for you to help you do this. And this should help a lot. Save you some time. That's what it's all about, right? Imagine saving like 1 minute, and let's say even 30 seconds. Which every single one of those 30 problems that you do on a problem set in Saxon, half a minute you save maybe, and multiply it by 30, that's 15 minutes. So all these little tricks I'm giving you, try to use them, to save yourself some time and get through this and go to your other stuff. So you can milk your goats. All right. Well, the area of a rectangle that's 0.75 meters long and 0.5 meters wide. What's the area? Okay. Well, we know how to do things, right? If somebody says to you, what's the area of a rectangle that's 10 by 8? You go 80. No problem. Well, just because we're multiplying decimal numbers, who cares? It's just the same thing. If something works in math, then you do it again. Doesn't matter if there's x's involved or decimals or fractions. You just do it. Don't worry about it. If something works, you do it. Just try it, and you'll discover that it'll work. So we can either multiply fractions. If somebody says to you 0.75, you can go, okay, well, that's 75 hundredths times 0.5 is 5 tenths. Okay, so you can go over here and go do the long multiplication. You'd find out that this is 375. 100 times 10 is, there you go, and that's the area. And make sure that's going to be meters square meters, and what you're going to do. Okay, you can either multiply with zeros in front, like this, like I used to do when I was your age. Let's see here. You could go 0.75 times 0.5, and then put a 0, or just put the decimal. You don't have to, in multiplication, you don't have to line up the decimals. It doesn't matter. Some people like to do that though. What a mess that, look at all those, this times 0, and then that time that 0, and this 0 times, yeah, what a pain that is. Forget this. Let me just tell you. If you have this problem, you're doing 0.75 times 0.5. You can anytime you multiply numbers with decimals, if you want, totally ignore the zeros and the decimals. All right? So when you say this, just go ahead and do 75 times 5. All right? So let's see, 5 times 5 is 25, and 35 plus 2, and there. Now you know that's not the answer. It can't be, right? 0.75 meters long times a half a meter, you can't have 375 square meters, right? And that's not right. So the trick is this number here this decimal has 2 numbers behind it. This one has 1 behind it. The total is 3 behind it. And what's going to happen is you're going to go, okay, whatever this number is, it better have 3 numbers behind the decimal. So boom, there we go, 0.375, which is the same thing as 375 thousandths if you were just to read that. So any one of those is okay. That's a rule, by the way, I would encourage you to use. Man, if you don't like all these zeros, if you get something like this, 7,000 times is 0.02. Okay, there's ways to get around that. Okay, and we'll talk more about those later. All right, let's multiply this, 0.25 times 0.07. Now, let me just show you. Again, you can go either way, this is fine. That's 25 hundredths, right? That's 7 tenths, right? If you were to do the arithmetic, 25 times 7, how much money do you have if you have 7 quarters? $1.75, right? Okay, 1,000 is what you're going to have here. You can leave it right there if you want to. That's fine. You'd probably reduce that if you want to. But, excuse me, just leave it. You can also go, well, I'm going to do 0.25 times 0.7, and that's fine. You don't have to write those zeros and all that jazz in the front of it. You're going to get the same thing here, right? You're going to get 175. But the rule is, don't forget, the number has to have the same number of numbers behind the decimal as these combined. So this has 2 in front of it. This has 1 in front of it. 2 plus 1 is 3. This number needs to have a decimal, then 3 numbers behind that decimal point. Okay? This one, 2.5 squared. Well, you know what squared means now, right? You just multiply some number by itself. Okay, well, let's do that. 2.5 times 2.5. And again, you can do this if you want this way, or you can just go the heck with this. 25 times 25, all right? 125, and then that's going to be 50. and then that's going to be 625. Well, you know that's not right. 625 is not 2 times 2. It's going to be, you could look at these two things and go, well, about 2 or 3 times about 2 or 3, it's going to be about like 4 to 9 somewhere. You can just, like, what's like reasonable? It's got to be 6 point something, right? But the other thing is you can go, well, there's one number behind the decimal, another number behind the decimal, 2 total, so this must be a number with 2 numbers total behind the decimal, 6 and 25 hundredths. Here we go. 1.6 times 3, again, piece of cake. If you don't want to mess with decimals, don't do it. Just look back at the end. 16 times 3, that's 8, 1, 3, 40, there we go. Now look back, there's one number total behind the decimal, which means you need, in the answer, one number total behind the decimal, boom, there you go. Okay. Oh, I just messed that up. Try the practice set. Try the practice set. Do A through E, and we'll talk about those together. So pause it and try the practice set. All right, there's your practice set. Answers for A through E, 4.5, 4.5, 0.45, 0.45, and 2.25. Okay. Make sure you're doing A through, A, B, C, D, E, not all the way down. All right. Pause it and try F through J. Okay, there is F through J. F is 1.5. Again, let me just show you a trick. If you have 0.15 times 10, you can just do 15 times 10, Just do, that's going to be 150, right? You can look at this and go, well, the answer is going to have two numbers behind the decimal. So there we go. There's 2 numbers behind the decimal. Okay, G should be pretty straightforward. You'll need 3 numbers behind the decimal, 0.125. And again, you can just, look at G. You can ignore all the zeros and decimals. You can just do 25 times 5. You can probably do that in your head, right? 125. You go, uh-oh, how many numbers need to be behind the decimal? 3, yoink, there we go. Last two should be pretty straightforward. 0.8 times 0.8, 0.64, and then 1.44. There you go. Okay. All right. Do a good job on the practice problem, the problems today and the warm-ups. Make sure you are progressing with the warm-ups. It's really important. You're almost 40 lessons through this. So tomorrow will be a third of the way after we finish of the entire book. Okay. See you then.